Welcome to Deep Cuff Channel. Ukrainian army can now see the light at the end of the tunnel. Russian army began to flee from the territory of Ukraine. Russian losses reached incredible proportions. Western countries gave a very important aid to Ukraine. This help is about tanks. The fighting on the Bakhmut front intensified like never before. Giant convoy of the Ukrainian army entered Bakhmut. Western allies gave Ukraine the key to winning the war. War may expand in 2023. Russian army is trying to take precautions against the possibility of prolonging the war. Ukrainian army may receive new Patriot systems. According to the statement made by the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, in the last 24 hours, Russia lost 530 soldiers, 23 tanks, 16 armored combat vehicles, 8 artillery systems, 5 multi-barrel rocket launchers, 1 warplane, 1 helicopter, and 38 special armored vehicles. After these attacks, the Russian army began to increase its attacks on the regions under the control of the Ukrainian army. Accordingly, in addition to 17 attacks with rocket systems, the Russian army carried out a total of 59 attacks with the participation of Air Force warplanes. It is stated that the attacks are concentrated in the Bakhmut region, which is under the control of the Ukrainian army. While it is stated that the Ukrainian army prevented most of these Russian attacks, it is also among the news that the situation on the fronts is stable for now. Meanwhile, a spokesperson for the Ukrainian Air Force reported that a Su-25 fighter jet and Mi-8 helicopter participating in operations in the Bakhmut region were destroyed. In addition, according to the Ukrainian Air Force, immediately after these attacks, Ukrainian warplanes launched a total of 15 attacks on Russian military and anti-aircraft zones, inflicting great losses on the Russians. These losses were also reflected in the latest update made by the Chief of Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. In the first statement, it was stated that Russia lost 530 soldiers, while in the next statement, this number increased to 800. In addition, a senior U.S. administration official gave a measured assessment of the conflicts in the Donetsk region and especially around Bakhmut. The war is still quite hot. We will see what we saw in Bakhmut on other fronts in the coming months, said the official. President Volodymyr Zelensky congratulated his soldiers serving in the Bakhmut region, confirming that the Russian troops in the region had suffered great losses. It was reported that the Ukrainian and Russian army clashed 22 times in one day in Bakhmut. It is known that the ranks of the Wagner Group commanded the Russian troops in the region. Independent War Studies Institute noted that Ukrainian and Russian forces engaged in ground combat 22 times in the past day, and Russian forces carried out more than 238 artillery, multi-launch rocket system, and tank attacks in the same period. It is also among the news that the conflicts in the region will intensify. According to local sources, about 24 Ukrainian YPR 765 armored combat vehicles entered the eastern part of the Bakhmut region. In addition to these armored vehicles, it is stated that Ukrainian special forces also entered the region. Videos appearing on social media clearly show the size of the convoy. It is currently unknown why this giant convoy entered the area, but the Ukrainian army seems determined to destroy the Russian troops in the area. In addition, some intelligence sources claim that the Ukrainian military is planning a historic counterattack in the region. Ukrainian army, on the other hand, regularly states that it needs battle tanks to make a big breakthrough in the war. In this context, important news comes from England. British Foreign Secretary James Cleverly said at a joint briefing with his German counterpart, Annalena Baerbock, that the delivery of modern Western tanks to Ukraine could be part of the next phase of security assistance to Kiev. Main battle tanks have been at the center of ground warfare since the Second World War. In this context, it is frequently stated that Abrams and Leopard series tanks will be sent to Ukraine. French and U.S. officials have given signs that this problem will soon be resolved. Now this issue seems to be partially resolved. Great Western powers finally decided to send armored vehicles to Ukraine. This is a move that the leadership of Kiev has long wanted and hoped will provide great support in the fight against Vladimir Putin's troops. President of France, Emmanuel Macron, has officially announced that the L0ST armored combat vehicles will be sent to Ukraine. This transfer was interpreted as the first sign that main battle tanks will also go to Ukraine in the near future. Hours later, Germany and the USA announced their own moves. In a joint statement with the United States, which will send the Bradley combat vehicle to Ukraine, it has been announced that Germany will also send the Marder infantry combat vehicle to Ukraine. After these moves, Russia's reaction is expected. If Russia responds as the Western countries expect, I think the main battle tanks will be sent to Ukraine shortly. In addition to these armored combat vehicles, Germany announced that a battery of the Patriot air defense system was sent to Ukraine. It is stated that Patriot air defense systems will be delivered to Ukraine by March. In addition, it is assumed that Germany can supply Ukraine with L0ST anti-aircraft missile systems. According to German analysts, Ukrainian air defense system operators are currently receiving the necessary training for the use of Patriot air defense systems. Arrival of these systems in Ukraine will severely limit the missile and air strikes of the Russian army. Vladimir Putin is aware that the Ukrainian army is getting stronger. As Russia enters its 11th month of war against Ukraine and the casualties on the battlefield increase, the cracks in the centralized, top-down political system that Vladimir Putin has built are becoming more and more apparent. A split is emerging between those who want Putin to stop military action and those who insist he needs to escalate further. Year 2023 was known as the year Vladimir Putin sought victory. However, at the point we have reached, we see that Putin's army is far from a possible victory. As a matter of fact, military analysts think that the war in 2023 will take place in a much wider area than Putin expected. Although the Ukrainian army occasionally targets areas within the Russian administrative borders, the overall strategy of warfare is far from that. Explosions at the Belgorod and L0ST air base in the past weeks were extremely critical for the Russian army. Chief of Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces did not comment on the attacks, although Russia has stated that it believes these attacks were carried out by the Ukrainian military. These attacks caused Russia to use its naval forces more effectively. We have often mentioned that the warships in the Russian Black Sea Fleet are operating in the region. According to the latest development, the Russian army is about to take delivery of one of its most advanced submarines. Allegedly, the Yasin-class submarine carrying hypersonic Zircon missiles will enter the Russian defense inventory in 2026. We have officially announced that Russia will take the Borai-class submarines into its inventory in addition to the Yasin-class. Yasin-class submarines are critical systems for the Russian army after the Belgorod and Kilo-class. If the features announced by Russia are correct, these submarines are a serious power multiplier. But we still know that the Russian military likes to exaggerate itself and its systems. We will continue to monitor the world and especially Ukraine. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.